For years, we spoke about digital disruption as though it was some kind of future shock, a sudden storm that would upend everything we knew about business. But today, what once felt disruptive has become normal. What used to terrify boardrooms and executives has quietly slipped into the everyday rhythm of commerce. When people first began to speak of digital disruption, the language was filled with urgency and even fear. There was a sense that technology was a force that would tear apart the familiar foundations of business and society. Executives and decision makers looked at the rise of e-commerce, automation, and artificial intelligence as something akin to a storm they had no control over, something they needed to prepare for or defend against. Yet here we are, years later, and what was once called disruption is no longer shocking. It is woven into the way we live, work, and consume. What felt revolutionary has become expected. Customers don't think of next-day shipping, intuitive apps, or personalized recommendations as extraordinary innovations anymore. They treat them as ordinary features of the everyday. In this way, the very idea of disruption has dissolved into routine digital delivery. The reason for this change is that human expectations evolve much faster than organizations realize. People adapt quickly to new levels of convenience. And once they have experienced something better, they rarely go back. At one time, ordering a book online and having it arrive at your doorstep within a week was magical. Today, if a package takes longer than 24 hours, we see it as an inconvenience. The extraordinary becomes ordinary at an astonishing pace. And this forces companies to rethink what it means to innovate. It's no longer enough to surprise customers with a new feature or service. The question now is whether you can sustain a rhythm of delivery that continuously meets a rising bar of expectations. This shift also reveals something deeper about the psychology of disruption. People never truly wanted disruption. What they wanted was progress. They wanted things to be faster, simpler, and more seamless. The shock of disruption came only because traditional institutions were slow to adapt, and the gap between what was possible and what was offered became painfully obvious. Once companies caught up or were replaced by those who could, the sense of disruption faded into a new normal. What seemed radical yesterday is simply infrastructure today. That cycle repeats endlessly, which means disruption has become less of a cataclysm and more of a constant undercurrent. Consider how this plays out in daily life. Ordering groceries with a tap on your phone, consulting a doctor virtually, streaming entire libraries of entertainment instantly. All of these were once considered groundbreaking. Now they are so routine that the absence of them would feel disruptive. This is the paradox. What once disrupted us is now the very stability we depend on. Digital delivery is no longer the future. It is the present, and its consistency is what defines modern trust in businesses and institutions. Understanding this transition is crucial for leaders and innovators. To cling to the language of disruption is to remain anchored in the past, forever waiting for the next tidal wave. To see the world as digital delivery is to recognize that the wave has already washed over us. And the real challenge is not surviving it, but learning how to surf it every single day. We often think of competition in business as a race to create the best product, the most refined service, or the most attractive price point. For decades, that logic worked. A better engine, a sleeker design, or a cheaper alternative could win customers and build empires. But in today's world, the center of gravity has shifted. Products still matter, but they are no longer the ultimate battleground. What truly defines success now is the platform that delivers those products and experiences. The difference is subtle yet profound. A product is something you own or consume, but a platform is an ecosystem that constantly surrounds and supports you. In a digital-first economy, platforms are the new empires, and digital delivery is their bloodstream. Take the example of smartphones. The device itself is important, of course, but what truly keeps people loyal is not the glass and metal in their hands. It's the ecosystem of apps, services, and integrations that live on the device. The phone is a gateway, but the platform is the destination. Once you are inside that ecosystem, it becomes difficult to leave. Music payments, entertainment, navigation, even health data, all are tied together seamlessly, making the platform more valuable than the product itself. In this way, digital delivery has shifted the rules of competition from who can build the best thing to who can build the most indispensable system. This transformation has also reshaped the relationship between businesses and their customers. In a product-centered world, the interaction was transactional. You buy, I sell. In a platform-centered world, the interaction is ongoing. Companies no longer just deliver a one-time good, they deliver continuous value, updated features, real-time personalization, and services that evolve with the user. Digital delivery makes this possible because it connects companies to their customers in real time, learning from their behavior and feeding that insight back into the ecosystem. The result is a relationship that feels less like commerce and more like partnership. But this evolution comes with its own challenges. The more powerful platforms become, the harder it is for smaller players to compete. Customers grow accustomed to the seamlessness of large ecosystems, which sets a high bar for anyone else entering the market. At the same time, platforms create new expectations that ripple through every industry. Once consumers experience effortless streaming and entertainment, they start expecting the same from banking, healthcare, and education. Digital delivery, once seen as an advantage, is now the baseline expectation across all sectors. What this means for the future is clear. Products will always matter, but they will increasingly be judged by the platforms they belong to. A company that clings to selling isolated items will be outpaced by one that builds ecosystems of connection and convenience. Digital delivery is no longer about moving goods from one place to another. It is about weaving together services, data, and experiences into something so integrated that it becomes a part of everyday life. The businesses that thrive will not be those who sell the most, but those who connect the most. The great irony of the digital age is that while we often talk about technology as a tool to deliver products and services faster, what it is really delivering is knowledge about people, their choices, and their desires. Data has quietly become the most powerful form of customer service. In the past, service meant answering a call politely, fixing an issue quickly, or remembering a loyal customer's name. Today, service means anticipating needs before a customer even articulates them. This is only possible because of the vast ocean of data generated from every digital interaction, from clicks and searches to location signals and purchase histories. Digital delivery is not just about moving packages or streaming content. It is about translating data into insight and insight into action. The organizations that excel in this era are the ones that understand data not as a byproduct, but as the foundation of their relationship with customers. Each touch point, whether it's an app notification or an online purchase, is a signal that feeds into a larger pattern. Machine learning and AI systems don't just see isolated events, they map behaviors, detect rhythms, and uncover the subtle cues that reveal what someone might want next. When a recommendation appears on your screen and it feels uncannily accurate, it isn't magic, it's data as customer service. The brand has anticipated your need and met it at the perfect moment, reducing friction and deepening loyalty. What makes this transformation so profound is the shift from reactive to proactive service. Traditionally, companies waited for customers to raise their hands, file a complaint, make a request, place an order. Now, the very best companies design systems that act before the customer even realizes they have a need. Think of how streaming platforms queue up the next show you're likely to enjoy, or how e-commerce platforms nudge you with reminders when they sense you might be running low on a product. This is service in its most evolved form, not waiting, but anticipating. Yet with this power comes responsibility. Data-driven service raises questions about privacy, trust, and transparency. Customers are willing to share their data if they believe they are getting genuine value in return. But the moment they feel manipulated or surveilled, the relationship erodes. This balance between personalization and respect will define the winners and losers of the digital delivery age. Companies that wield data responsibly will build enduring trust, while those that exploit it will invite backlash. Ultimately, the transformation of data into customer service is not just about efficiency, it's about intimacy. The companies that succeed will be those that use data not to treat customers as numbers, but to understand them as individuals. They will use insight not to push harder, but to serve better. Digital delivery, in this sense, is less about technology and more about empathy at scale. When data becomes the language of care, businesses stop delivering products and start delivering understanding, and that is the highest form of service any customer can receive. In the past, when leaders talked about strategy, they imagined it as a carefully mapped journey. They drew up long-term roadmaps, set milestones years in advance, and trusted that meticulous planning would keep them ahead of the curve. That world is gone. In the age of digital delivery, the environment shifts too quickly for static plans to survive. The very act of waiting to execute a perfect strategy is often the reason companies fail. Today, speed itself has become the most important strategy. The ability to sense what is happening, make decisions quickly, and deliver responses in real time is no longer an advantage. It is a requirement for survival. Think of how markets now operate. A single viral trend can change consumer expectations overnight. A new app, launched by a startup with no legacy baggage, can steal attention and loyalty in weeks. Supply chains can be disrupted in days, reshaping entire industries. In this world, the organizations that cling to rigid planning processes move too slowly to adapt. They are overtaken not because they lacked intelligence or resources, but because they could not move at the speed demanded by the digital age. Strategy has been redefined from being a blueprint for the future to being a reflex in the present. Speed, however, does not mean recklessness. It is not about making decisions without thought, but about designing systems that allow decisions to be made and acted upon quickly. This requires agility at every level of an organization. Data must flow freely to the people who need it. Teams must be empowered to act without waiting for endless approvals. Technology must be built in a way that allows rapid iteration rather than slow, cumbersome overhauls. In many ways, speed is about reducing friction, removing the barriers that slow down response and suffocate innovation. What makes speed such a powerful strategy is that it compounds. The faster a company can deliver, the more data it gathers. The more data it gathers, the smarter its decisions become. And the smarter its decisions, the more confident it grows in moving even faster. This creates a virtuous cycle where speed begets insight, and insight begets even greater speed. Competitors stuck in old cycles of quarterly reviews and multi-year plans simply cannot keep pace with organizations that live and breathe this rhythm of continuous delivery. Customers, too, are part of this equation. Their expectations are shaped by the fastest experiences they encounter. If one company can deliver same-day service, customers wonder why others cannot. If one platform updates instantly, others feel outdated. Speed, in this sense, is contagious. It raises the bar for everyone. To be slow in the age of digital delivery is to appear irrelevant. The lesson is simple yet profound. The future does not belong to the biggest, the strongest, or even the smartest organizations. It belongs to the fastest. Those who can sense shifts in real time, act decisively, and deliver continuously will not just survive disruption, they will define what comes next. When people talk about technology, they often focus on the mechanics, faster processors, smarter algorithms, and more efficient systems. But the true measure of progress is not the sophistication of the code or the speed of the network. It is how the technology makes people feel. In an era where digital delivery has become the norm, the difference between companies that thrive and those that fail is not simply their efficiency, but the human experience they create. The heart of every breakthrough is not the machine, but the way the machine connects us, serves us, and ultimately improves our lives. Technology without empathy is just automation. Technology with empathy becomes transformation. Consider how quickly convenience can become hollow when it lacks a human touch. An app may deliver groceries to your doorstep in record time, but if the interaction feels cold, confusing, or indifferent, the speed alone won't inspire loyalty. On the other hand, a service that makes people feel understood, one that remembers preferences, communicates clearly, and responds with genuine care, creates an emotional bond that outlasts any functional advantage. Human experience is not an afterthought. It is the very foundation of digital delivery. The future is not defined by who delivers fastest, but by who delivers with meaning. This reality is reshaping the way companies think about innovation. Efficiency and automation are now baseline requirements, but they do not guarantee differentiation. What creates distinction is how technology is used to deepen relationships. Artificial intelligence, for example, can analyze massive amounts of data, but its true value lies in how it translates that data into moments of relevance for a person. The goal is not to overwhelm customers with options, but to present the right choice at the right time in a way that feels effortless. When people say, "This company just gets me," they are responding not to the technology itself, but to the experience crafted through it. The danger, of course, is in forgetting this human element. Many organizations chase digital efficiency without realizing that a sterile transaction leaves no lasting impression. A relationship cannot be built on automation alone. Trust, loyalty, and emotional connection require something deeper. That is why the most successful companies of the future will be those that design their digital delivery systems around empathy as much as efficiency. They will ask not only, "How fast can we deliver this?" but also, "How does this make our customers feel?" Ultimately, the essence of business has always been human. Even in a world dominated by digital platforms and automated services, the companies that win are those that remember that every click, every order, and every interaction comes from a human being with hopes, frustrations, and emotions. Digital delivery may be powered by machines, but its success is measured by the people it touches. In the end, the future will belong not to the most advanced technology, but to the technology that makes us feel most human. For a long time, businesses treated disruption as though it were a storm, sudden, dramatic, and followed by a return to calm. Leaders spoke of transformation projects with clear beginnings and endings, as if the future could be managed in phases. But the reality of today's digital world proves otherwise. Change no longer arrives as a single event. It is constant, compounding, and accelerating. The companies that once waited for disruption to strike now realize that disruption has been replaced by something far more enduring: continuous digital delivery. The organizations that survive are not those that brace for impact, but those that make change itself part of their operating system. This shift requires a new mindset. Transformation can no longer be seen as a project you complete, celebrate, and move on from. Instead, it becomes a perpetual cycle of sensing, adapting, and delivering. Just as software companies have adopted continuous delivery pipelines to push updates daily, organizations of every kind must learn to deliver new ideas, new models, and new experiences without pause. What used to be extraordinary agility is now simply the baseline expectation. The future is not shaped by occasional reinvention, but by the ability to evolve every single day. The implications of this are profound. It means that leaders must stop waiting for certainty before acting. In a world of continuous delivery, certainty is a luxury you will never have. The key is to build systems, cultures, and strategies that thrive in ambiguity, where experimentation replaces prediction and rapid iteration replaces perfection. Success becomes less about having the right answer and more about asking the right questions, testing bold ideas, and scaling what works before the opportunity vanishes. It also means that talent must be developed differently. Employees can no longer be trained once and expected to thrive for decades in a static role. They must be empowered to learn continuously, to reskill, and to shift into new capacities as fast as the environment demands. In this way, people become as adaptable as the technologies they work with. Continuous delivery is not just a technical principle, it is a cultural one. It transforms how organizations think about their people, their processes, and their purpose. Most importantly, continuous delivery changes how businesses relate to their customers. The companies that treat delivery as ongoing see every interaction as an opportunity to improve, to refine, to grow closer. Instead of delivering products, they deliver evolving relationships. Instead of delivering transactions, they deliver trust. In this world, customers do not wait for grand reinventions. They expect constant progress, and they reward those who provide it with loyalty that cannot be bought, only earned. The future is not waiting to arrive. It is being delivered right now, moment by moment, iteration by iteration. The real challenge for organizations is not to withstand disruption, but to embrace delivery as a way of life. Those who understand this truth will not merely adapt to the future. They will shape it continuously as long as they have the courage to keep delivering.